Good morning, Meghal.
Good morning, Sagar.
Good morning, Kedar Dada.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, everyone. We will start with our today's session on corporate governance. On Monday, we had discussed about corporate governance developments or corporate governance practices that are being followed or implemented in the Australian companies. The code of corporate governance or the guidelines or the practices of corporate governance which are to be followed by the listed Australian companies which are functioning in Australia, that we had discussed. Today we will be taking up that what are the corporate governance guidelines which are being practiced in United Kingdom and which are being practiced in South Africa. More or less, we had discussed while we were discussing the corporate governance guidelines or practices in Australia, that more or less they are very much similar based on the guidelines of OECD. OECD is Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, that we had discussed what those guidelines are. So whatever guidelines which were followed by OECD, as most of the companies are members to this OECD group or foundation, so most of the countries are following these principles. So much of the principles are similar in nature. There are few differences or few changes in these guidelines of corporate governance. So we will try to complete two corporate governance guidelines, one in UK and the other one in South Africa. Now, the countries which we will be discussing as expected in our syllabus, one is Australia, Singapore, United Kingdom, and South Africa. All these countries, or the three countries, were controlled by UK. We all know that. So the general practice is that the corporate governance practices pioneering role is of UK and US. The companies of, or we can say the government of United States of America and the government of United Kingdom, they have pioneered this particular concept called as corporate governance. So they are the main, we can say, players who have formed these guidelines, and most of the countries have followed these guidelines by making certain change which are required to be implemented in that particular country. But the basic guidelines comes from either United States of America or United Kingdom. So United Kingdom, in UK, the practices or the guidelines or the code of corporate governance is controlled by a body which is called as FRC. FRC in UK, it is called as Financial Regulating Council. This council is responsible for promoting high quality corporate governance practices or guidelines in the United Kingdom. It also takes care of the interest of all the stakeholders involved in corporate governance. So this is the prime authority of UK, which takes care of whether any changes are required in the existing corporate governance guideline or code of corporate governance in UK. If there are to be changes, this is the authority which proposes those changes or which constitutes a committee which may give recommendations for improving the existing guidelines, improving the existing guidelines of corporate governance in UK. Now, the basic purpose of corporate governance, it is mentioned in the Code of Corporate Governance of UK that the basic purpose of corporate governance is to facilitate effective entrepreneurial and prudent management that can deliver the long-term success of the company. So that is the basic purpose of setting these corporate governance code. They have mentioned that. Second thing, what is included in the document related to corporate governance in UK is they have mentioned that the first committee was set up by the government of UK in 1992, and we have discussed that committee also. That committee was constituted under the chairmanship of Mr. Adrian Cadbury, and that committee is regarded as one of the pioneering committee in the field of corporate governance. This is regarded as the first and most important committee on corporate governance guidelines. We can talk when we are comparing it with the world at large. So we can say that this is the most important committee constituted for corporate governance guidelines by the world itself. So that was the first committee constituted by the government of UK to suggest the government that what all practices which can be followed by the companies of UK which will promote good corporate governance in them. Now, these corporate governance or code of corporate governance in UK is based on certain principles. We will just take a quick look on those basic principles, and these principles are called as main principles of code of corporate governance in UK. Now, first principle is related to leadership. First principle of corporate governance in UK is related to leadership, where it expects that every company should be headed by an effective board which is collectively responsible for long-term success of the company. So the first principle is related to leadership, which says that the company, all the companies which are functioning in UK and which are listed, these companies should be headed by an effective board. Effective board means that it should be constituted properly, and the executive as well as the non-executive directors or the independent directors, they are to be elected or they are to be chosen on the basis of their merit only. Then only we can say that board is effective. So leadership under the first principle of corporate governance, they have mentioned, the code of UK says that every company has to be headed by an effective board. They have also mentioned that this particular board should have a clear division of responsibilities. Now, clear division of responsibility means that the executives should know what their responsibilities are. The non-executive directors are aware of their responsibilities, as well as independent directors should be well aware of their responsibility. There should not be any clash between the authorities and responsibilities of various directors of the board of a particular company. That is how leadership is the role or responsibility of the leadership is to be divided well. Now, the second principle is related to the role of the board. Okay, role of the board we have already discussed. Now, the second principle is related to the non-executive directors. Now, here it is mentioned that non-executive directors and independent directors play a very important role, because executive directors, we have already discussed what is executive director. Executive directors are those who are involved in the daily affairs of the company, whereas non-executive and independent directors, they are not involved in the directly daily affairs of the company, but they are monitoring the functioning of the company. So it is mentioned that non-executive and independent directors play a very important role, and they should complete or comply their role, whatever which is given by the board. Now, the third principle of corporate governance in UK is related to the composition of board. How the board is to be constituted. Now, it is expected that the board and the supporting committees which are to be constituted by the board should have appropriate balance of skill, experience, abilities, independence, and knowledge of the company, which will enable them to discharge their respective duties and responsibilities effectively. So, there one of the main principle is based on composition of board also, that how a board is to be constituted, what should be the experience, what should be the skills, what should be the knowledge of the person who should be elected to the board. This principle is based on balance of power, that if the power is balanced, if enough experience, knowledge is available in the board, then there has to be, we can say that the board will function effectively. So that is the third principle related to composition of board. Now, fourth principle is related to commitment. Now, under commitment principle, they have mentioned that all the board members or all the directors should be able to allocate sufficient time to the company to discharge their responsibilities effectively. Now, again, this is called as a very important function or a very important principle, because it talks about commitment and it talks about allocation of sufficient time. Just now we had discussed how the board is to be constituted. where we have discussed that it should be based on the merit of the director, it should be based on skills or knowledge or experience of the director. Now suppose if everything is present, but that particular director, that particular expert director is unable to give sufficient, he will be effective for that particular board. So we can very easily come to the conclusion that no, that particular person will not be effective for the board because the person is not giving sufficient time to the functioning of the board. So the fourth principle is based on commitment, which talks about that all the directors, all the board members should devote enough time or should devote sufficient time to the company to discharge their roles and responsibilities effectively. Next principle is based on development. Principle number 5 is based on development. Under development, it is expected that all the directors, before they initiate their first meeting or before they start with their first meeting, should undergo a orientation program or a development program. Now, this orientation program will help the newly joined directors to become aware of the company's values, ethics, culture, and business of the company. As well as under development, the principle of development expects that after joining the board, the directors should always try to update and refresh their skills and knowledge. So that is called as principle of development. Next principle is based on information and support. Under information and support, it is expected that the company should supply board or should give information, timely information and quality information or appropriate information which will help the board to discharge its duties. So under information and support principle, it is expected that the board, when it is taking decision on a particular matter, the company should provide enough and timely quality information. Timely information is very essential, and quality information. Timely means when a time frame is given to the company by the board that within 10 days we require this information because we have to take a decision which will be based on this particular information. So 10 days means before 10 days the company should be able to provide that information to the board. And quality information means whatever is expected, whatever information is expected by the board, that information only should be given to the board or provided to the board. It should not happen that board is asking something and the company is providing not the core information, but it is providing the related information. That is not quality quality information. So under quality, under the principle of information and support, it is expected that timely and quality information should be provided by the company so that the board can effectively discharge its duties. Now, the next principle is based on evaluation. We have discussed enough on evaluation, so we will just take what is expected under evaluation in UK Code of Corporate Governance. The board should undertake a formal and rigorous annual evaluation of its own performance and that of its committees and individual directors. Same thing which is being implemented in our country also, in Indian companies also, is expected to be implemented under the Code of Corporate Governance of UK. So what it under the principle of evaluation, it expects that the board should undertake its own evaluation. That means self-evaluation of the entire board should be done by the board itself, as well as board should evaluate the performance of the committees which are constituted by the board. Not only the self-evaluation of board, not only the evaluation of performance of committees, but the board should also do a performance evaluation of individual directors. And these directors can be executive directors or non-executive directors or independent directors. So in general, on a whole, self-evaluation of board is to be done annually, it is expected. Committee evaluation is to be done by the board, as well as all the board directors. So if 10 directors are there, then it is expected that individual evaluation of directors should be done by the board. So that is covered, that is expected under principle of evaluation. Now next is the principle of re-election. Under principle of re-election, it is expected that the directors should be submitted for re-election at regular interval, subject to continued satisfactory performance. Now this principle, they have specifically mentioned that there is a provision for re-election, that suppose a director is included in the board for a period of 3 years. So it is not that he will automatically be eligible for re-election after a period of 3 years. He will become eligible for the purpose of re-election, or he will be re-elected only on the basis of his continued satisfactory performance. So this particular concept, this line is very important: continued satisfactory performance. It should not happen that he was appointed for a period of 3 years. First year his performance was not up to the mark. Second year, yes, not up to the mark. Third year, he was aware that his tenure is coming to the end and he wants to get re-elected, and that is why he is showing improved performance. If such is the case, it will not be called as continued satisfactory performance. Continued means for first year his performance was satisfactory, for second year his performance was satisfactory, as well as, and for third year also his performance is satisfactory. Then only he can be re-elected, otherwise he will not be re-elected. So that is what is expected under the principle of re-election. The next principle is related to financial and business reporting. Now here, under this principle, it is expected, the Code of UK expects that the board should present fair, balanced and understandable assessment of company's position and prospects. So in one line, they have made it very clear what is expected in financial and business reporting. We will not go into detail of it. We will just discuss about this statement only, because same thing we have discussed when we were discussing our unit number 2 about how financial reporting or business reporting is done in Indian company. It is on same lines only. Only thing is the principle, we have various laws which are to be implemented, which are to be followed, and here instead of laws they have prepared some principles, and they have uh, approved these principles, and these principles are to be followed by every company which is functioning in UK. So the principle of financial and business reporting, under that it is expected that the board should present a fair, balanced and understandable assessment of company's position and prospects. So when we talk about fair, fair means it has to be correct, it should not be it has to be impartial, it cannot be partial. So the financial status or financial reporting or financial statement should be fair, that means it should be correct and balanced and understandable assessment. Understandable means it should be made in a easy and understandable manner, which so that it can be understood by most of the people of the country, of company's position and prospects. That means company's current position should be included in this financial reporting, which is to be shared among the directors and among all the stakeholders, as well as what are the future prospects for the company. That means the future of the company, that is also should be highlighted in the in this principle, it is expected. Now the next principle is related to risk management and internal control. Now, under the principle of risk management and internal control, it is expected that the board should determine the nature and extent of risk it is willing to take in achieving these strategic objectives, as well as the board should maintain sound risk management and internal control systems. Now, we all know that to survive in a competitive business world, every organization has to take risk. So this principle is related to risk management. Now, if a risk is to be taken, how this risk will be managed? When we talk about risk taking, it is expected that the risk should be taken on the basis of sound calculation, which should be based on very authentic information, we can say. So it should not happen that when it under principle, that under the principle it is expected, principle of corporate governance, it is expected that a company should be taking risk, so the board decides to take the risk. But what is expected under principle of risk management is that when a board is taking risk in for some particular related to some particular decision, then along with that risk, that board should also devise a function, devise a program that how this risk will be managed by the board. And how risk is to be taken? Risk is to be taken on some correct measure, correct information or authentic information, and risk should be taken in a calculated manner. It is expected under this particular principle. Now, the next principle is related to audit committee and auditors. Now, under the principle of audit committee and auditors, it is expected that the board of company should establish formal and transparent arrangements for considering how they should apply the corporate reporting and risk management principles for maintaining appropriate relationship with the company's auditors. Now, under the principle of audit committee and auditors, it is expected that the company should devise a structure that how audit committee will be constituted and how the auditor will be working in the company, whom they will be reporting, and what authorities will be given to them. All these things are to be covered under this principle. Now, the next principle is related to the remuneration part, the principle of remuneration. Remuneration is salary or package. Now, under the principle of remuneration, it is expected that the executive director's remuneration should be designed to promote the long-term success of the company. Performance related elements should be transparent, stretching, and rigorously applied. So this is what is expected under the principle of remuneration. So it is expected that executive directors, the top positions of the company, their salary or their package is to be designed in such a way that it will help the company for a long-term success. Now, the elements of the package should be transparent. Transparent means that not only the person who is being given this package should be aware of this, but the entire board should be aware of it, and the company should also be aware of it. So that is called as a transparent package. Then what type of incentives will be given to the person? Because if more incentive, or we can say attractive, instead of saying more, we can say attractive incentives, attractive benefits are given to the executive directors, then we can expect that their performance will be better. So that is related to principle of remuneration. Now the next principle is related to relations with shareholders. Now, relations with shareholders, under this principle, it is expected that it is the responsibility of the board of the company to have a strong relation or to have constructive dialogue with shareholders, because it is believed that if the relationship between the board of the company and of among the shareholders, if it is constructive, if it is effective, automatically it will help the company to gain the confidence of the shareholders, which will improve the image of the company in the minds of the shareholders, as well as it will help the company to generate more capital for the expansion of the company or for the diversification of the company. So that is related to the principle related to relations with the shareholders. So all these principles, these are considered as, in India we are talking about laws. In UK it is their entire corporate governance is based on principle, and these principles, they implement these principles as if they are implementing the laws itself. So these were some of the important principles. Sorry, last principle, one principle is remaining. That principle is related to the principle of constructive use of general meetings. Now here under this principle, it is expected that the board should use general meetings to communicate with investors and to encourage their participation. So we had just discussed that it is the responsibility of the board to see to it that the relationship between the company and the board is very good, very sound, and effective, because it will help to improve the image of the company in the minds of shareholders and in the mind of society at large. When we talk about the principle of constructive use of general meeting, it is expected that the board of a particular company should use this platform of the board of directors or the platform of annual general meeting, which will help for encouraging the participation of the shareholders in the board meetings. So under this principle, it is expected that the share should be encouraged to give their suggestions related to the what they feel about the company, and whatever their suggestions related to expansion or related to the current practices of the company or current performance of the company, they should be allowed for those suggestions. So that is the last principle related to constructive use of general meetings. So that was all the general principles related to the code of corporate governance mentioned in UK. So the companies which are working in UK, they have to follow these general principles of corporate governance. Now, okay, only 2-3 minutes are remaining, but we'll start with the corporate governance practices of South Africa also. Now in South Africa, in the year 2016, a committee was set up, and that committee was set under the chairmanship of Mr. Mervyn E. King. Mervyn E. King was the name of the person under whom a committee was set up, and it was expected that this particular committee will come up with certain recommendation or certain changes in the existing structure of corporate governance in South African companies. Now this committee is later on, this committee was called as King Committee or King 4 Committee. Now before this committee, the earlier committee which was set up by the government of South Africa to suggest the guidelines of corporate governance, that committee had suggested 75 principles. Now, as we know that South Africa was also controlled by UK. So what they did was they followed the earlier code of corporate governance of UK, and they included some more principles into it. So in all, there were 75 principles, and it was expected that all the companies